When a private investigator gets murdered while investigating a murder case, his student takes on his case to unveil the mystery behind his death. However, as her investigation unfolds, she finds herself in a dangerous alliance with his killer, as they uncover a bigger crime syndicate involving the town's elite. Hey guys, welcome back to IM Movies. Today we're looking into the 2024 American thriller film called Cult Killer. But before we jump into the details, be aware there are spoilers. Now let's get right into it. The movie begins in a bar with a man named Michael Tellini. Tellini is a private investigator working with a firm to spy on a man named Dexter. Dexter happens to be a cheating husband, and Tellini was hired by Dexter's wife to trail his promiscuous lifestyle. With the help of the bartender lady, Tellini captures Dexter with a camera alongside Ashley, the lady he is flirting with. Immediately, Dexter confronts Tellini, accusing him of invading his privacy. However, Tellini presents Dexter with a divorce letter from his wife. On seeing this, Dexter attempts to hit Tellini, but Tellini hits him in the groin and asks Ashley to leave. Although hesitant, Ashley finally leaves after a drunk lady named Cassie Holt advises her to walk out the door to avoid complicating things, and Tellini thanks Cassie for convincing Ashley to leave. Meanwhile, Cassie, who had been drinking with 3 other men she met at the bar, decides to leave. However, before leaving, she warns the men not to follow her, stating that she's capable of causing them physical harm. Regardless of Cassie's warnings, the 3 men go after her. Sensing trouble, Tellini decides to intervene, but gets shocked seeing Cassie pin one of the men down to deter the others. The other 2 warn Tellini not to interfere, but Tellini soon sends them running after knocking one of them down. Afterward, Tellini asks Cassie if she's tired of living as a drunk and would like to do something meaningful with her life, stating that the alcohol will eventually kill her if she doesn't stop it. Cassie tells Tellini that no one has ever talked to her that way. Cassie decides it's time to turn a new leaf, and they both become close friends. One day, Cassie asks Tellini how he became a private investigator, and Tellini reveals to her that he used to work for Interpol, which he did for 26 years but had to quit after he lost his wife Ellie to an illness. Tellini reveals to Cassie that he figured he'd be bored after losing his wife, so he decided to get a private investigator license to get himself busy. After hearing this, Cassie asks Tellini to sign her up, stating that she'll be useful to him since she used to work as a librarian. After Cassie's training years, Tellini gifts her a gun and teaches her how to shoot as part of her training requirements. 5 years later, a sergeant detective named Detective McMahon offers Tellini a secret investigative job, asking him to look into the murder of a member of a group of wealthy cult sect named John Abernathy, who just got murdered. However, due to the circumstances surrounding the death of John Abernathy, his rich friends and lawyer refused to allow any investigations, prompting Detective McMahon to secretly hire Tellini. However, as Tellini heads out to his hotel room, he gets stabbed multiple times by a lady, leading to his death. The lady steals his phone and ID as she flees the scene. Nevertheless, from the look of things, it appears that this lady is also responsible for John Abernathy's death as well. But who does she work for? Well, we'll just have to find out. Later that day, Cassie gets a call from Detective McMahon telling her that her boss has been murdered. Devastated by the news, Cassie begins to cry as she gets a flashback, remembering the day she became a licensed investigator with Tellini's guidance and sponsorship. Afterward, Cassie drives to Dublin and meets with Detective McMahon in his office. Here, Cassie tells him how she worked with Tellini for 3 years, revealing that Tellini meant a lot to her. With this, Cassie requests that Detective McMahon allow her to investigate Tellini's murder case, stating that she at least owes him that. However, their conversation soon gets interrupted by the cult sect's lawyer, Victor Harrison, who accuses him of invading the privacy of his clients with his witch hunt investigations. However, Detective McMahon introduces Cassie to Victor as the new lead investigator, revealing to him that Tellini, who used to handle the case, is now dead. Later that day, Victor meets with a lady named Wallace. Wallace is in charge of killing people who get in the way of the cult. So, Victor asks Wallace if she was responsible for Tellini's death, and she tells him that she is not the type that does free jobs. Suspecting that Wallace might be planning something sinister, Victor reminds her that she's part of the cult one way or the other, stating that if the cult goes down, she'll go down with them too, reminding her of all the evidence he has against her. Subsequently, Victor tells Wallace about the new investigator, Cassie. However, despite Victor's initial threat, Wallace offers to find out about Cassie for a fee. Back in Detective McMahon's office, Cassie learns that the gun Tellini gifted her used to belong to his late wife, Ellie. Afterward, Detective McMahon gives Cassie a file on Tellini's interviews with suspects and asks her to get to work immediately. Days later, Wallace meets Victor in a secluded location and gives him the result of her investigation on Cassie. The investigation reveals that 35-year-old Cassie was born in London and had a degree in library science. Cassie also worked in several libraries across the city, but later got fired for being drunk. Wallace also reveals that Cassie was repeatedly abused by her step-grandfather as a child, up till her university days, revealing how Cassie broke his arm back after she'd secretly learned Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Back at the office, Detective McMahon narrates the events that happened before Tellini's death, as they attempt to solve his murder mystery, revealing that Tellini's phone, ID, and hotel room keys were taken from his pocket. With this, Cassie suggests they visit the hotel room for clues. On their way, Cassie recalls telling Tellini how much she wanted to come with him to solve the murder case, but he convinced her to stay and take care of the office, stating that he'll be fine on his own. At the hotel, Cassie and Detective McMahon realize that the killer must have visited the room after committing the murder. After that, Detective McMahon takes Cassie to the house where Tellini was investigating John Abernathy's murder case. However, 3 security guards soon confront them. Detective McMahon tells the lead guard that he's brought an investigator to examine the crime scene, but the lead guard tells Detective McMahon that it won't be possible without a warrant. After arguing for a while, one of the guards attempts to attack them, but Cassie quickly disarms him while Detective McMahon hits the other one on the face and subsequently instructs the lead guard to empty his gun. With this, Cassie and Detective McMahon leave to get lunch. Moments later, Detective McMahon tells Cassie to sneak into the house alone as he gives her directions over the phone. Cassie manages to get past the guards and find her way to a locked door, which she effortlessly picks open. While inside the building, Detective McMahon directs Cassie to go upstairs into a room where John Abernathy was murdered. There, Cassie finds out that some of the original items have been moved from the crime scene. Subsequently, she also discovers a hidden room where people have been kept captive. Cassie decides to take a few pictures of the room, telling Detective McMahon that she's never seen something like this before. However, Cassie soon realizes that there is a laser gun pointer on her chest. At this time, a lady's voice emerges from the dark saying, that is where she slept when they brought her over there. The lady then instructs Cassie to end the call, but as soon as she does, Detective McMahon pulls up a team to go rescue her. Meanwhile, the lady reveals herself to Cassie as Jamie, the person who killed Tellini. However, Jamie tells Cassie that she thought Tellini was working for the cult at the time she killed him, but she now knows better. Jamie proceeds to narrate the torture she went through in the room at the hands of the cult members to Cassie, and later asks her what her relationship with Tellini was. Cassie reveals to Jamie that Tellini was the only man that gave her a purpose to live, and Jamie had just taken him away from her. Jamie apologizes for killing Tellini, but Cassie promises to kill her once she gets the opportunity. However, at this time, Jamie hears a police siren approaching, and quickly tells Cassie to look her up as Jamie Elizabeth Douglas, born January 11, 1994, and leaves. Cassie quickly goes after Jamie but can't find her. Soon, Cassie reveals to Detective McMahon that she just met Tellini's killer. Outside the house, Victor reveals to Detective McMahon that the house now belongs to him after John Abernathy, the original owner of the house, passed away. However, as Victor attempts to leave, Cassie tells him that Jamie Douglas sends her regards just to see his reaction, but Victor claims not to know her at all. At the cult house, Victor reveals to the others, which includes Wallace Dottie and her husband Edgar, that Jamie is the one hunting them down. Now, Jamie used to be a sex toy for the cult for 5 years, but she managed to escape from captivity. Dottie reveals to them that Marty, another member, was tasked with killing Jamie back then. Meanwhile, Jamie calls Cassie to tell her story. During this call, she reveals the sexual abuse she endured as a child at the hands of her mother's boyfriend, however. Her mother never believed her but would hit her instead. This series of abuse made Jamie run away from home, leaving New York for London where she met Dottie. Jamie reveals to Cassie that Dottie offered her food, and was nice to her at first, but it later turned out that Dottie just wanted to use her for their playhouse sexual experiments, revealing how Dottie drugged her and placed her naked in a cage for 5 years. Back in the cult house, Victor reveals to Edgar and Dottie that they need to leave the city for a new place until Jamie is dead. Edgar disagrees with this, stating that he's not leaving because they built the city. However, Wallace subtly reminds him that it was his great-grandfather that did and not him. Afterward, Dottie suggests that they kill both Jamie and Cassie, but Victor advised that they kill Jamie and scare Cassie to leave town. Back to the phone call, Jamie tells Cassie that Dottie is the vilest of them all, stating that her husband Edgar is weaker compared to her, revealing how the cult group usually teases Edgar about an incident where he choked a boy to death. Jamie mentions that Victor is just a please just like the other two. Confused, Cassie asks Jamie what she meant by the other two, but Jamie refuses to say, stating that she wants to go do some monster stuff, then hangs up. However, it soon became evident that Jamie had just severed Marty's head. On the other hand, Cassie rushes over to tell Detective McMahon everything, adding that Jamie must have killed someone else. With this, they both begin to brainstorm about who it could possibly be, and where the sex playhouse is located. Subsequently, Detective McMahon calls Victor, asking him if any of their cult members are missing. Victor reveals that he hasn't seen Marty for a while, and Marty's head suddenly drops into the house, prompting him to end the call. Cassie immediately calls Jamie to stop killing them and turn herself in, which she obviously refuses. Before ending the call, Cassie asks Jamie about the location of the playhouse, and Jamie tells her to look for Wallace, stating that she's responsible for cleaning up their mess. To know who Wallace is, Detective McMahon gives Cassie his database login details to investigate it, and leaves. With this, Cassie hacks into Victor's system to find out what he's been doing and who Wallace actually is. Cassie finds out that Wallace is on Victor's payroll, with evidence of every payment he ever made to her. On her way home, Cassie gets attacked by Victor's men, but she manages to hit one of them in the eye, while the other one overpowers her and repeatedly kicks her on the floor till she passes out. However, Jamie comes to her rescue, beating both men to death with a wheel spanner. Later, Cassie gains consciousness in her apartment and realizes that Jamie has tied her up. However, Cassie breaks herself free and Jamie quickly grabs her gun in case Cassie tries to arrest her. Subsequently, Jamie reveals to Cassie that she was able to get Wallace to talk after pouring petrol on her and threatening to burn her alive. Jamie also reveals that Wallace had told her about the attack beforehand. The next day, Cassie confronts Wallace as she attempts to escape town, and promises to let her go if she reveals where the photos and videos are stored. Wallace reveals that they are stored in the playhouse, and Cassie immediately gets her arrested. Later that day, Jamie secretly watches as Cassie confronts Dottie and Edgar as they prepare to head out. However, the couple refuses to listen to Cassie as they accuse her of working with Jamie. However, Dottie verbally confirms that there is a playhouse and that she'd love to get Cassie in there too. Meanwhile, Jamie continues to trail the couple as they take a walk around town. After a while, Jamie attacks the couple, stabbing Edgar multiple times. However, Dottie uses pepper spray on Jamie, knocks her out while struggling, and then drags her into the booth of her car. At the playhouse, Dottie ties Jamie up and begins to torture her. At the same time, Detective McMahon and his men arrest Victor in his office, while Cassie, on the other hand, tries to get a confession from Edgar, but he eventually strokes out. Later, Cassie gets a call from Dottie telling her that she's got Jamie with her. Jamie warns Cassie not to listen to her as she makes attempts to break herself free. With this, Cassie threatens to kill Dottie, and immediately heads out to the playhouse to save Jamie. However, as the torture continues, Jamie manages to break free, biting Dottie by the throat till she drops dead. Cassie later arrives at the playhouse where she sees Jamie bleeding profusely. Jamie offers to tell Cassie more about the cult's atrocities on record. Here, Jamie reveals how the cult members made her and the others walk naked at parties. She adds that her womb was removed alongside the others because she got pregnant. Afterward, this chilling revelation, Jamie begs Cassie to end her life as she once promised on the day they first met. A year after, Cassie visits Jamie's burial site, reminiscing on the moment Tellini added her name as part owner of his private investigation company. And this is where our story ends. If you'd like to see us recap any other movies or topics you have in mind, just drop a comment and let us know. And don't forget to hit the like button, share this recap, and subscribe to stay updated for the next one. Until next time.